What's going on, everyone? Today we are going to go over 13 of the biggest unwritten rules that can lead to your success that you might not even be thinking about. We've got some obvious ones and some that are not quite as much. Let's get right into it. We started off with a method of play which is called anchoring. This is a mega important tactic that does require a little bit of teamwork, but those who can anchor properly are going to have a much higher chance of getting wins. Anchoring is simply done by always having one person control a certain area. This could be a building, high ground, or a choke point. Really anywhere where someone has an advantageous and safe spot to retreat to. More specifically though, usually you want a support or defensive legend to be holding down this area while your movement or aggressive teammates are on the patrol around that area. These two teammates can be the intel gatherers or the aggressive playmakers that have the assurance that they know exactly where they can retreat to reset or heal up for another go. Not a ton to know about anchoring, but always try to incorporate it into your games, and you'll find a simple tactic will better let you win your matches. If you want some great examples of anchoring though, be sure to check out Pro Play, the ALGS. All these pros are doing anchoring all the time, and it will help you learn this tactic. A simple tip, but not really always an obvious tip for those that are newer or less experienced, is that players should almost always be using shields before using health heals. The main reason for this is that cells and batteries are quicker to use and heal up than their syringe and medkit counterparts. It is small, but these seconds do matter, and it's going to let you get back into the fight quicker. I will say that there are two moments when you do want to prioritize health heals, and the first is being when you are actively taking ring damage. In this instance, of course, your health is important to monitor. The second will be is if you are sitting at mega low health, say under 20 or under 10 HP, and you still have a level 1 armor, popping a medkit to get you a full 80 plus health heal is going to be more beneficial and provide bigger benefits than taking the 6 seconds to pop 2 shield cells. But when in doubt, shields are the priority to both replenish and carry around. The third unwritten rule is one that is the hardest for me to spectate, and it hurts me to my soul. It's players who don't stow their weapons enough. Anytime you are simply running around, the weapons need to be down. Anytime you are breaching gaps and trying to get around corners, your weapons need to be down. Anytime you are in a fight and trying to chase someone down who is sprinting away, your weapons need to be down. It takes some practice and discipline to do this, but don't be lazy. And always remember that fractions of a second matter, and the speed boost you do get from stowing your weapons, even if it's just for a moment when you're crouch sliding, it's very important, and it's gonna matter in every fight you take. Getting shot up by a third party in Apex Legends and many other shooters is something that will just happen, and it's gonna happen more times than not. For Apex Legends specifically though, you need to live and die by the third party. Utilizing third party at the end game is the easiest free win that you can get, and dying by a third party is one of the most frustrating ways to go out. This always stems back to monitoring your surroundings, the kill feed, and just being a little bit more aware of what is happening. A general rule that I do like to preach or state is that from the moment you start a fight to the moment you are on the move again, you really should not be taking more than 45 to 60 seconds. With this in mind, whenever you fight a team, ask yourself, can you clean up this fight in 30 to 45 seconds? If the answer is no, then it might be wise to move on or wait for another opportunity before you do engage. The 30-15 or 45-15 rule is a great rule to remember if you can't eliminate the team and then take a maximum of 15 seconds or so to reset and loot. You might just want to say no if you can't abide by this. Fast-paced movement, high-octane action, crazy ability play is what Apex Legends is about, but one of the best pieces of advice that I can give is that patience is key. Having some patience and not running and just throwing your game can go a long way. Every fight does not need to be rushed, and more times than not, the player with more discipline and patience can usually just wait for the enemy to make a mistake. It's all about opportunities and understanding the engagement, but do not rush things. This doesn't mean hide and do nothing, but a healthy balance between pushing everything with no regard for your life and just ratting up should be found. If you are looking to improve though, I can almost guarantee some in-fight patience can go a long way to letting the enemies walk into your sights or walk into your path and not vice versa. Our next unwritten Apex rule has all to do with dropping and starting your game off on the right step. You can nearly get anywhere you want on any map as long as you keep your speed above 130. This is definitely not something written in stone, as it may seem like if you just keep your character horizontal, you're gonna get further across the map, but in reality, keeping your speed above 130 or even 140 at times will guarantee that you are going to get the most distance of your travel. Note that if you are dropping anywhere close to the dropship, exiting the dropship around 45 to 60 degrees from your target is going to be optimal, as your speed will stay up and you'll have a direct drop to your target location. We have a lot more to discuss, but I want to do a quick shout out to the members of the channel. Thank you for going above and beyond to support myself and the content I do produce. It's greatly appreciated. If you are looking for some exclusive perks, want to be highlighted on my channel homepage, and want to support me even further, consider joining and becoming a member. Apex is a first-person shooter. This is pretty obvious, but one of the best ways to better win more fights is to utilize grenades, and with this unwritten Apex rule, you need to always have a grenade on you, and if you use your grenades, you need to be getting more as soon as you possibly can. Grenades are arguably the biggest way to turn the tide of a battle or create opportunities to make pushes, and any team who has these is going to better win fights and just be a little bit more flexible as a team. My preferred is arc stars, but frankly, all 3 grenades are very useful, and much like your ammo or heals, at least 1 grenade needs to be an instant pickup every time. In tandem with the patience tip though, don't just throw your grenade at nothing, and be sure to save it for the right moment when it really matters. Looking back at your drop, the biggest way to completely grief your game is by landing directly on your teammates. Obviously, this is going to happen to you by your random teammates, but the more you can not do it to your teammates, the better off you are going to be. This is less of a tip and more of a PSA, but you got to break off from your squad when you are dropping to the ground. It sounds super obvious, and it really is, but way too many times have I witnessed and lived in games that are thrown before you even hit the ground running because your squad mates are simply not breaking off and looting adjacent buildings. One of the worst ways to be underprepared for a fight in an early game battle is to land directly on your team where you're both sharing that loot run and you're just going to both be half looted. One deceiving rule for Apex Legends is going to revolve around players' skill level, and more specifically, I want to talk about account levels. If you are unaware, your account level is nothing more than a simple display of how much time you have put into the game. You will never be matched up with players based on their account level, and thus, really the skill of players has no correlation to one's account level. The one thing is that generally, those who play more are higher level, and thus, they are better at the game because they have put the time in. R301 with a car SMG, probably one of the best weapon combos you can get in the game, and if you can get it, you'll probably do well. But what separates the greats from those that are not so great is going to be your proficiency with every weapon in Apex Legends. I've said this a few times in videos in the past, but really, this is one of the biggest factors to your in-game success, and definitely your rate of winning your off-drop fights. Apex Legends firing range may not be the most advanced training range out there, but take 5 minutes before a play session and just shoot some shots with the various guns in the range that you are less familiar with, and before you know it, in a week, maybe a month time, you're going to be so much better with all the weapons that you're going to be much better off when you are in your games. Sometimes shooting your weapon doesn't need to be the only way to win your games, and another way that can simply net wins on its own is going to be having great positioning. Positioning just wins games. It's as simple as that, and having the foresight and awareness to tell yourself and your squad to rotate to the power position sometimes is enough on its own to net yourself an easy win. This rule generally falls more in place when it comes to your mid game, and having the ability to tell where the ring more than likely is going to move to is a skill players will want to build over time, so be aware and always keep in the back of your mind where those rings are moving. The next rule is more of a specific tip that you can apply in your game, and it has everything to do with your armor. No doubt, the greatest way to keep yourself alive post fights is by armor swapping a death box. Basically, this is just trading your empty or weak armor for a more healthy one from a player that was just killed. You can also do this by swapping any armor that might be on the ground. This is especially important when you know you are about to get third-partied, and it's going to greatly increase your chances of winning that third party in your various fights. This can even be swapping your empty purple for a level 1 white armor. Really, any boost in shields is a big deal, and it's better to get that swap now and figure it out later after you do handle that third party. Don't forget you can also drop armors on the ground and use them as a much easier pickup if you need to. There's been very few games in my 25 years of FPS that I have played that have been as tilting and aggravating as Apex Legends can be. So the biggest rule of them all is to be sure that you are enjoying yourself. If you aren't, play something else, take a walk, take a break. And don't forget, even pros cannot win every fight in every game. Always remember, consistency is key, and you're not going to win every single game and every single fight. What other rules are critical to your game? Drop a comment down below and check out my most recent tier list, which are the best solo legends you should be using for both no-fill and those random teammates. Hit the like button, subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.